King Solomon loved God, but he did not love God with his whole heart. Solomon had hundreds of wives, and many of them were from other nations. Solomon's wives turned him away from God. Solomon began to worship the false gods that his wives worshipped. Solomon even built shrines where his wives could worship the false gods. This made God angry. God said to Solomon, "Since you have done this, I will take the kingdom away from you. You will be king the rest of your life. But when your son becomes king, he will lose everything except for one tribe." Now God planned to make Solomon's official, Jeroboam, the king of most of Israel. When Solomon died, his son Rehoboam became king. The people told Rehoboam, "Your father Solomon made us work too hard. We will gladly serve you if you make our work easier." Rehoboam thought about it and asked his friends for advice. Then he replied, "My father Solomon did not make you work hard enough. I'll make you work even harder." This was not the response God's people were hoping for. They did not want to serve a king like Rehoboam, so they made Jeroboam king. Only one tribe remained under Rehoboam's rule, and that was the southern tribe of Judah. Rehoboam did not like being king of only one tribe. He planned to attack the northern kingdom of Israel, but God sent a prophet to stop him. The prophet had a message from God: "Do not fight them. The people of Israel are part of your family. I am the Lord, and I am in control of what is happening." So Rehoboam went home. Now Jeroboam was the king of Israel. When the people of Israel traveled to Jerusalem to worship God at the temple, Jeroboam worried that they would start thinking of Rehoboam as their leader. So Jeroboam made 2 golden calves and made an announcement to the northern tribes. "It is very inconvenient for you to travel all the way to Jerusalem to worship at the temple," he said. "Look, these golden calves are the gods who brought your ancestors out of Egypt. You can worship them." What Jeroboam did was a sin. Those calves did not lead God's people out of Egypt. God led his people out of Egypt. Jeroboam also built forbidden shrines and celebrated made-up festivals so Israel would seem like a better place to live than Judah. Jeroboam led all the people in worship to the false gods. King Solomon failed to lead God's people perfectly. God's people needed a better king, a perfect king. Through David's family, God would send his own son, Jesus Christ, to be a perfect king over God's people forever. Jesus brings his people together and leads them back to God.